What happens when you mix crazy fucking Joel Schumacher, Los Angeles around the time of the riots, the idea of going postal and suicide by cop, and a 90s rampage fictional news story with Michael Douglas, Robert Duvall, and Frederick Forrest as a neo-Nazi. You get 1993's Falling Down.
A few years back, when we were both young and beautiful, and we were trying to decide what we wanted to do with our lives, it came upon me that I wanted to do this podcast, and I wanted to explore different films that I loved and films that had an impact. And then we started going into themes. So we would do like certain noirs. We have these ideas for vampires throughout the history of cinema, the role of pornography in films, hip and cool as a concept and how they manifest themselves in films. But one of the things that started off as a joke, and a joke that was very serious at the time, though, and that you kind of latched onto, and I kind of got excited by your excitement for the idea, was an exploration of Michael Douglas as the quintessential American male in American cinema, but specifically the quintessential white American male.
Yeah.
Because as I watched his films, from the time I'd started really paying attention to what films were. I mean, you go through this weird period of your life when you love movies where movies are just entertainment, but they grab a hold of you on an emotional and psychological level that you're not really prepared for, you don't necessarily understand, but you know that there's something there that is more than just watching a movie. The other day I took my nephew to see Michael Mann's Heat, and I was really excited for that experience for him. Next week I'm taking him to see David Fincher's Seven, which I'm even more excited about. I wish they were playing Fight Club, because I would really like to take him to that. And what I'm saying is the power of cinema and how it has this stranglehold on society, what it says about society. Now, there's been a lot of talk throughout the history of movies where people ask, especially from probably in the 1970s on, probably from Taxi Driver into Apocalypse into I guess films like some of Paul Thomas Anderson's, definitely Fight Club, Fincher's film, Nolan, these filmmakers who make very I guess personal, but very very broad and engaging art. So as to say that it's these are films that grab a hold because they say something about the society, they say something about the culture of the time, the past, and what we're ultimately going to in the future. So Michael Douglas, with Romancing the Stone as the kind of knockoff, in a weird way, contemporary Indiana Jones figure, into Fatal Attraction, where Douglas is the husband who makes a mistake, fucks another woman, and has to suffer the consequences. And I've never seen the movie. All I know is the movie. I've never seen Fatal Attraction, not the whole thing, but it's such a film that has a stranglehold on society, and it's been quoted so many times, and it's at this point a lot of people haven't seen it. Younger people than us, but from our generation, most people have seen it. I haven't seen it in its entirety, but I know the film from beginning to end. I know the beats. I know how it plays out, I understand it in relation to a generalized story, which is a man cheating on his wife and being made to pay for it. And even having not seen it, I always had this sense of there was the idea that, oh, poor Michael Douglas has made a mistake. Glenn Close is a fucking psycho, and this is what happens, which I think is very. I think it's very. I find that problematic, and not in a woke type of social justice way. I just, from a narrative point of view, it's like it's real easy to make this a crazy bitch who can't let go. It's real easy to demonize her.
I mean, that's kind of this is the romance novel. This is, well, from a male perspective.
Yeah.
Or so the male character is the central. This is also the erotic thriller. This is like, you have a common enemy. This is the love triangle thing where it's like if it's a central and the male character is the central character, you have the good girl and the bad girl, and it's like, this is fucking Blue Velvet shit too. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, they lived happily ever after, but we still got the sex scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, it also could be that it's not that it's a dream, but it gets to the point where it's also like each one represents, going back to Blue Velvet, because we're recording this. You told me just minutes ago that David Lynch had died.
Yeah.
So I'm still in Lynchland. You know what I mean? One represents. This is how it is. These are the symbols. One, the good girl, the bad girl, the good boy, the bad boy. Whether you're talking about fucking the girl's trying to choose between the werewolf and the vampire, or the girl's trying to choose between, the fucking the bad boy on the motorcycle, or the fucking like the husband who loves her and goes to work every day, but somehow neglects her, or, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But going back to Douglas, yeah. So he's in that central role of I fucked up, and now I have to save my family because I choose them over this. That's basically the way it's presented.
Well, now I want to see the movie, and I want to talk about that movie, and I want to talk about infidelity in films and that role, because there's no shortage of films that deal with that subject matter. What I was talking about, however, in reference to this episode, is the role of Michael Douglas as victimized white male. And I know those are all like fucking alarm bells going off in anybody who is maybe white and male who thinks that I'm being
you're being too progressive.
Maybe
hey there, Rick. Hey down. Slow down.
or it could just be my feelings about culture and my own prejudices and some perceived racism.
Beers are burning right now. Careful.
There's a lot of people out there. I mean, if
how dare you offend Donald Trump?
I hate groups. I don't necessarily hate individuals until I hit individuals. So I mean, but with Douglas, I just felt like this guy is being painted this guy is the Hollywood poster boy of white male suffering and angst. And it's interesting because he's a very liberal, I don't know if he's in on the character that he's playing as, because you also have Disclosure, man being sexually harassed.
That's the trilogy. This is the trilogy of Michael Douglas. It's this one. It's Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct, and Disclosure.
Yeah.
Where I've actually done that. Where I
watch them all back to back and torture.
I didn't watch them back to back, but I watched them like in a weekend where I was like, well, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go on this journey. Where in one, it's like, it's this, it's Michael Douglas as the one struggling between temptation and it's a weird, it's a weird midlife crisis thing.
Yeah.
Now that I'm like in that zone.
Yeah. Now that you're midlife, is that what you mean? Where
exactly?
Yeah. Okay.
Now that the only way to go is down. There's a weird thing where it's like, if we're using him as this American stand-in, it's like, like which do you take? Do you take the traditional thing, or do you go with the temptation, which actually represents like freedom?
Yeah.
With Basic Instinct, you have that similar thing because he's between, and it touches on what you with Heat is the same thing. It's like that division between, it's the whole cliche of like, well, the cop is very close to the criminal. It's just the thin blue line dividing them, right? And also the thin blue line is actually what the statement is, that it's dividing order from chaos, and it's the cops that like keep us safe, blah blah blah. With Basic Instinct, it's like he's got his Beth, or whatever her name is his like love interest, and he's doing the thing, but he also has this like dark side that Catherine Trammell, that actress
Sharon Stone,
that she's able to like elicit in him or whatever, and he's like choosing this thing, and then with Disclosure, now he's the fucking that's the thing too, is that he jumps in his films between kind of like aspirational white masculinity, but from there to where either he's like the white guy who's winning, or he's the white guy who's being attacked somehow.
Sure.
So he goes from aspirational to victimhood like real quick. And in Disclosure, now he's being sexually harassed.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And then if you just look at his filmography, in there among those is Wall Street, right? So it's like, now he's aspirational, but then you have instead of a midlife, you have a coming of age of Charlie Sheen, which is fucking, everything that means, like outside, like with the context of like history and reality, puts a different, deeper spin on it. And now Charlie Sheen has to choose between the good father, played by his real father, Martin Sheen, or like the bad daddy, fucking Michael Douglas, and like greed is good, and fucking like, come on, Donald Jr., like you gotta follow me into this, like we got this. And you definitely have this thing with Michael Douglas where you've got Ghost in the Darkness, you've got
Great
like
White Hunter. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also another version of fucking Romancing the Stone. You've got,
well, you got the American president right there.
You've got the American fucking president, exactly.
I mean, this guy is held up as quintessential American. And
Wall Street money never sleeps. He comes back. He makes the great comeback. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, we're seeing reverberations of the great comebacks, right now in January, in our nation. His image has kind of like I feel like it's mellowed out of all that. Like I think after that, like if you think of like movies like Haywire and shit like that, he just seems more. He's just kind of like more in the background, and he's more of this older kind of.
Which is
kind of like
par for the course with older actors,
well,
basically. You know.
Yeah. He becomes like the older guy somehow, like in power, like.
Well, ultimately ending up in Marvel movies as a great scientist who has developed technology that can advance us. I mean, it's. I mean, it was. This is why when I started thinking about it, I would get angry, but I would laugh at it because I thought it was so ridiculous. But ultimately, it comes down to the greatest performance and the greatest character that he's ever played in this world of Michael Douglas American, Falling Down. Because Falling Down, what was it, 93? Was 93 or 94? Okay. Yeah. So this is either right after the riots or right before the riots.
I mean, it was shot, some of it was shot during the riots.
Some of it was shot during the riots.
Not obviously not
yeah,
in the midst, but like it was shot in that year. Mm-hmm. So like production would like start and stop, and mm-hmm. And you know there's a scene, and we'll get to that. But what I'm getting to is that we ate at one of those locations. I took you to eat at the place, and I was like, I'm gonna go take you to Falling Down. We're not gonna have breakfast because they stopped serving it.
11:35. Yeah.
Chili cheese fries. That's what I had.
Yeah. Got a burger. My standard. Yeah.
But what is it about? It's a film about a button-down guy who works as a Department of Defense engineer, and his fucking dark, twisted fucking hero's journey it very much reminds me of like this weird, like dark role-playing game. I don't know how much you know about role-playing games, or
it's almost
like, no, it's not my world either, but it's almost like even almost like that video game, like that Grand Theft Auto, where mm-hmm. you go out there and just do fucked up shit.
Yeah.
In these role playing games, I played. A friend let me borrow one of these Legends of Zelda years ago, and mm-hmm. So I played it. I had never played it. I was familiar with that character Link and all that, and so I played it. And it's especially if you're not into it, it's kind of like, oh shit, like okay, like I get it, right? And I can also get how these things can become incredibly addictive. Because it's very immersive, and it's also like Dungeons and Dragons. It's a thing, it's a world, and you're going in and you're making decisions, and you have to figure shit out, and you're going on these missions and quests, these adventures, and you're picking up items as you go.
Yeah.
And that's basically what he does. He's interacting with these folks. Like he's the central character. Obviously, like yeah. He's the way we live our lives as human beings. Like everyone's the fucking central character in this simulation that we're in, right?
In their story, in their journey,
in their story. Everybody's the hero in their story.
Mm-hmm.
And either you're trying to become that aspirational Michael Douglas figure, or you're the victim. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And God damn it, he fucking cut in front of me. Fuck you, right?
Yeah.
And you know, like, what's the parking situation today? God damn it. So he's on this journey, And in these games and in this shit, you're interacting with these. You've heard of NPCs?
No.
It's called a non-player character.
Oh, okay.
And so they're characters in the game that they just exist. They're in the game. They're only there. Like, for example, if you go into a tavern or some shit in whatever game you're in, that character just basically has the same lines every time you go into the tavern. Like, every time someone new goes into that game and goes into the tavern, that person is just basically going to say the same thing. They're just pre-programmed. They're nothing. You know what I mean? Like, they're just there to further you in your shit. So it's like, in real life, if you go to buy a pack of cigarettes, all you do is interact with the person selling you a pack of cigarettes. But in your world, that person is not much more on the basic level than the person selling you cigarettes, and you move on with your adventure, right?
Yeah.
They're an extra, you know, they're not a main character. You're the main character. This is how he's fucking interacting with people. And he's in this unhinged character hero's journey. He's picking up his little items, his little magical fucking items. And the perfect place to start this journey is an LA fucking traffic jam where you're in your car and everyone is basically just there. They just exist to be in your way. They're just obstacles in front of you. And fuck all these people. I'm not really going to think about where they're trying to go or where they're coming from. I know I need to be wherever the fuck I need to be. And so fuck everybody else. And especially I'm in my car, so I feel a little bit safe. So I can fucking scream at these people, I flip them off and cuss them out. And I mean, the likelihood of getting shot is like, it's minimal, you know? It's possible, but it's minimal. So fuck them, blah, blah, blah. This guy is in a traffic jam. This is how the story begins. He's all fucking pissed off. His license plate says defense. So he's always on the defense, right? He fucking loses it. He gets out of his car. And he walks off. That's the inciting incident. This is what starts, for us as the viewer, this is what starts the story for. Obviously, we're going to learn that he's already fucked up.
Yeah.
But he wanders through this he goes into a Korean liquor store. So this is, you know, if you know about LA and you know about that time period and post riots and like during the riots and post and it's like it's Korean liquor store owners fucking like shooting people, fucking like I forgot the girl's name. They shot some black girl. During the riots, like they were defending their businesses. They had to they would get on the roof. There were shootouts. They were fucking like insane.
Yeah. Class
fucking
warfare,
insane.
racial disharmony, all of that shit, you know?
Like racial back and forth shit. There's all this like every kind of like take that you could get on it, but it's just the reality of what it was. From there, he he steals the fucking guy's self-defense bat. He fucks up the store because he doesn't like the prices. He says he wants to roll back prices to 1965.
What does that say?
Funny because,
what does that say?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's also, that's the year of the fucking Watts riots. The previous riots.
Interesting, yeah. I didn't make that connection. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, what does that say about, I mean, like, if you look at the way he looks, he has that little buzz cut, the glasses.
Well, he definitely has a 1950s, early 1960s, before the Cultural Revolution of him, before the American Cultural Revolution, before Woodstock, before the Summer of Love, before Manson, all of that shit. It was the button-down, flat-top George Jones haircut, those nerd glasses, and he talks a lot about I did everything I was supposed to do, and I think a lot of Americans, especially a lot of American males, have that idea of I did everything that I was supposed to do, and I think they're right to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, this is also like fast forward and fucking this guy defense would be full on fucking January 6th fucking in there, like
But think about it though. I mean, because he did everything that he was supposed to do. You and I did everything that we were supposed to do. You and I got decent grades. You and I went to college. You and I graduated. You and I have always paid our taxes and have done what was necessary. We've always worked to some degree. Should I be 50 years old throwing garbage, compacting fucking cardboard, and wrapping fish and meat? No. That wasn't supposed to be. I mean,
overeducated, underskilled, not economically viable. These are some of his lines, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that because I have a real problem with that scene. But but let's. I want to point something out before this gets too far into it, because I think the way I've set it up at this point, it's a Michael Douglas bashing, shitting on this film to a degree. I want people to know I like this film. I really do like this film. I think it's very powerfully done and a great indicator of the times. And it's not a matter of do I agree with the politics. I agree with elements of the politics, but I also recognize a guy who is there is a sense of entitlement in the character that he plays that I think that makes it impossible. It resonates because it's a white man. If this had been the story of, I'm not sure, but I think that black man who was talking about being economically unviable, I think that's Vondie Curtis Hall. Is it?
I don't know that guy.
Vondie Curtis Hall is a director, and he would direct Gridlocked, which was Tupac and Tupac's last movie, I think, or one of his last movies with Tim Roth, where they were heroin addicts. It's actually a pretty good film. But I think that's Vondie Curtis Hall. I might be wrong. I don't have my computer's down right now, so I can't check it out. But this story has to be told from a white male viewpoint, because a black, Latin, or Asian man would just be like, well, the world is fucked up and I've always had it against me. I'm just going to deal with it.
It is Vondie Curtis Hall.
Is it Vondie Curtis Hall? So yeah. But you know what I mean with this description. This movie has to be a white man.
It would be more along the lines of, and I mean, we're all over the place, and this is how it's going to be.
Of course, but
forever.
Yeah.
It would be more along the lines of Luigi Mangione. Like, it would be more of the kind of like, this is how the fucking like system actually fucked me over. And I'm gonna fucking. It's basically who's. I know there's a film. I don't know what African American actor it is. I forgot, but it's like something about his kids' hospital bills or some shit. So
John Q. That's the Denzel Washington movie.
Okay, so then there's that one. Plus, there's kind of like the one with The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna fucking take over this place because XYZ reason.
But isn't that a different kind of situation, because he's a cop, he's a negotiator, and
it is a different situation specifically. In general, it's like, I've been wrong, so I'm going to do this to prove my point.
But doesn't he get framed in that movie or something? They think he's yeah.
But yes, but go just humor me.
Okay.
The point is,
I will
But
allow you to undermine the point that I'm trying to make. Go ahead.
it's not undermining the fucking point at all.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
It actually runs parallel to it because it's like there's not a sense of entitlement coming from these characters. These characters are saying like, I'm so fucking desperate because of these systemic fucking like corruption here, corruption and greed there. I'm so like desperate that it's gonna take this extreme form of behavior, in order to draw attention to the situation, so that I can prove what's wrong here, so I can get the needle to move. If I don't do this, I'm just gonna get lost in the numbers. I'm just gonna get fall between the cracks, right? Michael Douglas's character is also desperate. It's coming from a place of like, why the fuck in general is this happening to me in life? Not some kind of like systemic healthcare thing or police corruption thing, or it's just, I mean, you could say that it's, if they would have built the character into like, if it goes into more of his job and he got laid off or he got cut or whatever, some other bullshit. But the reason why he gets fired is because he's fucking already losing it.
Yeah.
He's already being erratic. It's him. It's not the system. The system, Big Brother, all of that, okay, that can exist. But this film is not about someone taking on the system. This is about a guy basically as a stand-in for us dealing with, on the lowest level, these stupid fucking inconveniences in our everyday lives, where this guy, we get to laugh because this guy's like little observations that he makes about like, why the fuck is this so expensive? Why the fuck can't I have breakfast at 5 minutes after 11? That's stupid. Okay, I'm gonna fucking if I had a gun, then you'd fucking give me breakfast. Why doesn't now, okay, I changed my mind. Now I want a burger. The burger that you gave me doesn't look like the burger in the picture. Fuck you. I want it to look good. These kind of little things, these kind of like little inconveniences and little pet peeves and little things that get on people's nerves. It's made to seem like universal because it is. It's kind of like we all experience those things. Traffic jams, construction on a street. Why? Why are they doing construction on the street? It makes no fucking sense. Sure. But the willingness to take it to the fucking level that he takes it, built into that is a level of privilege that, and you said it, it's like, that's kind of like, and the debate as to whether white privilege and systemic racism and all that shit exists, for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to assume that it does.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to write in and argue,
no,
so,
you know the ad. You know the email address.
No,
you could say.
It's fucking. Just yell at the.
Open the window and say you're mad as hell. And you're not going to take it anymore, and just
go
ahead.
Yeah,
just fucking do it. That's what you know.
And this is a direct like descendant of that film too.
Yeah.
Of Network. Because this is just about being in general angry. And that's also a trope, is like, and this goes with like the privilege aspect to it, is the angry white male trope. It's a trope. So it is also like the stereotype. And something that's used in media. But it's a thing. And this film very much does play with stereotypes. This film does. It has the stock characters of LA. It has the, you know what I mean? It's got the cholos. It's got the
It's got the Korean.
It's got the Asian.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got the.
It's got the multicultural police force. It's got it's got the patrol cops, the good looking guy. It got the supposed lesbian.
What she reads as that. Yeah, she reads as that.
That's what she
kind
reads.
Of like
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, she does. Tired, beat up, unwilling to help, and at the end of the day, just condescending. The next time a bill comes up, vote for it. Vote for more money for patrol cars. It's like, God damn.
Yeah,
How many times have I heard that?
I fucking dealt with that cop one time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at Tower Records one time, and I was gonna buy. I was fucking probably like 20, and I was gonna buy some kid some fucking CD that he couldn't get himself. And the cop was like, giving me all this shit. She's like, "You're not buying that." She saw me, and she was like, she's like, "I'll take you to jail. Go home and eat a steak and laugh about it."
Wow. That's fucking, that's fucked up.
And I was just like, I told the kid, I was like, "Here, let me introduce you to Ice-T." And I just walked away.
That's you're gonna let people draw that conclusion right there? Body count, 1989, 1990?
Body count. Yeah. The Ice-T was in some hot water for cop killer.
Yeah. It didn't help that he shot a Rolling Stone cover dressed as a cop, if you recall that.
Ice-T was very interesting.
That's before he became a cop on TV.
I mean,
in the Special Victims Unit. Yeah.
You have to take those roads.
Yeah, you do.
Looking even at the cover of Falling Down, there's something Lee Harvey Oswald about it to me.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's that lone nut. It's that idea of and what's interesting about this is that I think the filmmakers, writers, producers, directors they're having their cake and they're eating it too. Basically, the old saying, the old cliche, which is this guy is wrong, but it's an anger that resonates with all of us. It's a valid anger that resonates with all of us. However, the method in which it is dealt with is bad. You can't do this. And there are things about that. See, I like the film a lot. Number one, I think it's the ugliest portrayal of LA that I've ever seen on film. This is an LA that is literally a hell. And LA has not been always represented well on movies, but it does oftentimes look glamorous and kind of exciting. This is a hell. I don't know if it's the stock of the film or the stock of the film itself makes it look smoggy. Did you notice that?
Well, it looks fucking. There's something about it that reminds you of, LA is fucking burning.
Yeah.
And there's something about that. It's funny that you say that because just the other day I was when I was walking to the car, you could see little pieces of ash in the air.
Wow.
Like little snowflakes. Little asbestos smoke snowflakes. From fucking miles away. And I hadn't seen that since the LA riots. And I remember, and at a certain time of day, when the sun is fucking like at a certain angle, it makes everything just real fucking orange.
Yeah.
Because it's sun like cutting through like all of that fucking gray, right? And it just makes it's a particular kind of orange. And it just looks like a fucking like a certain type of hellscape.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some of that. There's definitely some of that in this film. He goes to the fucking Korean liquor store, bangs the place up because he doesn't like the prices. Says he wants to take the prices back to 65. Takes a fucking baseball bat. He's moving, and I mean the geography is kind of all over the place. But in general, he's moving from east to west. He's headed to Venice Beach. And he is at this point in the shadow of downtown. He's on some grass, like some grassy hill.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the movie they say it's Angel's Flight, but it's not Angel's Flight, but whatever. So he meets up with these cholos, these like Chicano gangsters or whatever, and he gets into it with them. They try to mug him. He fucking beats them with a bat. He takes his next little weapon that he gets is a butterfly knife. Later, they try to do a drive-by on him. It goes wrong. From there, he gets a fucking duffel bag full of guns. Goes to the burger place. Has it in with them because they're no longer serving breakfast. He's righting all these wrongs, right? So he's like, has that out there. He goes to an army surplus store. At this point, the cops are already like vaguely looking for a guy with a white shirt who's had all
one cop, and he's pressing that point.
At that point, it's his partner too, his old partner, because she goes into the surplus store. So one cop, played by Robert Duvall, he's retiring. He's this real milquetoast fucking cop who he lost his little girl, his wife. According to the way they set her up in this film is so fucked up because supposedly she's going through her change of life and fucking she lost her figure, but she's all fucked up because of the daughter, and at the same time, there's some backstory hints about I guess Robert Duvall's character got shot, or something happened to him. That's why he got put behind a desk, and now he's retiring. It's his last day, and she's.
Well, we never saw him. We never saw him actually die in colors, so maybe.
Right, exactly. Exactly. He's a fucking basket case. No, she is.
She's a basket, yeah. But he loves her. He truly loves her. He cares about her. He wants to, he's making concessions. He's retiring early. And I'm not sure if he retires at the end because he says a couple of things that make me wonder. But,
he says, I'm still a cop.
I'm still a cop. My name is going to be Mud because once she finds out that I'm still a cop. I think I think, as always, and this could be my fucking love of Duvall, there's a certain balance that Duvall brings to this film. He just gives an understated performance. He gives a likable, caring man who does his job, not because it's a job, but because it's something that he actually cares about. And when he's no longer able to do it, he knows that it's time to step aside because of the love of his wife. I mean, he's a very noble character. He's a very appealing character. If the movie had been flipped and we were following Duvall, I think I would have been just as interested in that story as the story that's being told here. It'd be a completely different movie, but you know what I mean? What'd you say?
I said that's because of Duvall.
That is Duvall. And but you know what? And I was thinking about this yesterday because there's a lot in this movie that I find just obvious and troubling to a certain degree, but the performances really deliver. I think Duvall is very good in this, in an understated performance. I think Rachel Tickerton, his partner or his ex-partner, his former partner, I think she's very good with an underwritten role, but she brings there's a love that she has for Duvall's character that really pushes the narrative, and it's not. It's a fatherly kind of thing where it's a father-daughter type of relationship where, and I can already hear some people saying the misogyny in a statement like that, but that's what it is. There's not an attraction between the two. There's a love that she has for him, knowing um the quality of the man that he is.
Yeah,
I find
yeah.
that very appealing.
And the way she deals with being in that boys' world, that boys'
Yeah,
club type of world, um, she just kind of rolls her eyes and she's like, "All right, fuck off. Let's come on,"
yeah,
Um, very well handled. Um,
yeah.
everybody's good in this film, and it's. I think the film is better than it should be.
That's exactly what I think that too. Even Frederick Forrest, which I think is an over the top performance, it's not his best work, but I think he's
But,
doing something with
but
a really
that's his
obvious
shit.
character.
That's his thing.
Yes.
I mean, this is like the only reason why it's like because people are. If you've seen Apocalypse Now, you're.
Hmm.
This is fucking pagan idolatry, man. Fucking like, and it's that same kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like that's in this, and just and like his character is so colorful right away. And so after the burger place, Michael Douglas's character defense goes into this army surplus store. He's got the duffel bag full of guns. He needs a change of clothes, and his shoe has a hole in it. Um, that's the real reason. His shoe has a hole in it, so he's looking for hiking boots. But Frederick Forrest is like, oh well, these hiking boots or whatever. But he's like, but these are like fucking like army boots type of shit. And then there are a couple other guys in the store, and right away Frederick Forrest's character is like a couple of faggots and all this and that. And he starts to show who he is on one level, but also you start to see who he really is.
Yeah.
Because you see this like homophobic dude, right? But then he takes the Robert Duvall's partner comes in, looks Frederick Forrest's character hides Michael Douglas. Then he takes him to the back. He's like, I want to show you something. He starts to show him all this shit. And obviously, like, now this is the inner sanctum, right? So there's fucking Nazi memorabilia. There's all that. So you see this guy's, okay, neo-Nazi, so-called Americana shit, but it's also the neo-Nazi shit behind it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's a Santa
but all
Claus
this,
there's a Santa
yeah,
Claus with a
what?
gas mask and a fucking
Yeah,
swastika armband on it. Really
yeah.
ridiculous shit. But
And
we're not talking about the high end of of white culture here.
are we not?
Well,
Isn't it Ohio?
yeah.
And but then you start to see like all of this stuff is this guy's actually like closeted as fuck.
Yeah.
Because Michael Douglas's character is always right in his mind.
Yeah.
And as no matter how fucking out there he goes, he doesn't see him. He sees himself as like a good American.
Mm-hmm.
So in the liquor store, he's like, "Why don't you fucking pronounce your words properly? Learn our fucking language.
Yeah. Come to my country and
come into my country." Yeah. So that it's all of that. I mean, he's
mm-hmm.
not overtly racist like this guy, but he's still racist.
Yeah.
But don't you fucking dare, because this guy's like, we're the same.
But here's the difference. The Frederick Forrest character is a racist based on ignorance and hatred. The Michael Douglas character is a racist based on frustration. those are two different types of racism. Those are the closet liberals who say, well, if they just tried to be like us or adapted to what we do, we wouldn't have this problem. Or there's the people that say, I don't see color, that kind of shit. I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't know that if it's based on frustration, but
well,
mm,
here, this is why I think, because, and this is why I don't like, there are two scenes that stand out to me that I don't like in this film. One is the Vondi Curtis Hall scene where he's out there picketing the bank that won't give him a loan,
yeah,
and there's that connection that is made between, um,
remember me?
yeah, remember me, Michael Douglas and him as he's being taken away in the cop car. The second one is the Faraday Forest scene. And this is the problem that I have with it, is because it seems so fucking deliberate in order to say, okay, yeah, Michael Douglas's character is a problem, but number one, here is a black man that he identifies with. Now, we're gonna shit on Asians, we're gonna shit on Latins, we're gonna do all this shit. We're gonna have him ultimately cause an old white prick to have a heart attack and die. I like that scene. Um, Fuck that guy, but you know what I mean. But he connects with this black man, and that's, to me, that's very patronizing and condescending. That's a very patronizing and condescending white filmmaking move. I don't know if you saw that. It bothered me in '92 when I saw it, but I was at my angriest back then. I was looking for shit to be pissed off about. Um,
Yeah, you were listening to Ice Cube.
oh, I was I was in a fucking foul fucking mood. Yeah, you could not be white and talk to me at that point in my life, as my mother used to tell me. Um, but
You had your little
also,
bow tie. You were like a black national separatist.
it's all about the fruit, baby. So I don't like that scene because I think it's condescending. I think it's disingenuous, and I think it's opportunistic in order to sway. And it's unnecessary. Number two, the Frederick Forrest scene. Now you show somebody who is so fucking cartoonishly racist, homophobic, not. And I say cartoonishly, knowing full well that these people exist
Of course.
and he is real. I'm not, but it is cartoonish in the delivery, in the approach in this movie, um, because what he's trying to do is, as much as you might not like the Michael Douglas character, now we're going to win you back and show that there is that level of frustration that we have and we recognize in him, because there is much worse racism in this world. There are men who glorify and hold in awe and love Nazis, Hitler, and the Final Solution. And I
Yeah.
think that's just very, from a storytelling angle, too obvious, too easy, and insulting to me as a viewer. And I think
I
you know what I mean.
I agree with you. I hear you.
But
But in addition to that,
yeah.
I look at those scenes and I look at the election that we just had.
Oh shit! Here we go. Now
And
you're gonna bring fucking real life into it, you prick. Shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I
You're
know
right.
it was
Yeah.
I know it was insulting to you, and I know they went out of their way. They were like, you know what, fuck RickRamos.
Yeah.
And
That's
his name,
exactly. It was in the
this is
studio
for
notes. I
him.
believe that. Yeah.
I think you're in the credits. And a special fuck you to RickRamos. It's like right at the end.
Wouldn't be the
Um,
first time. Yeah.
anyway, I look at three scenes.
hmm
So the what's the name of that actor?
Vondi Curtis Hall.
Ronnie Curtis Hall. Um, you look at that scene and you see a guy where it's like he's in that sense like, is it that much of a stretch to say that Michael Douglas is also like a white savior at that point? Because it's kind of like, you I see something special in you out of nowhere among all these fucking people around me. You remember me. Give me the voice that I don't have.
Avenge me.
Obviously,
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, it's not obvious, but it's like to the viewer, he's been on this fucking fucked up hero's journey throughout LA, right? Trying to make it to the whole point is that he's trying to get to his ex-wife, um, and his daughter because it's her birthday, and she has a restraining order against him, but she's wrong.
Yeah.
But I look at that scene and I think about, and this doesn't mean obviously that like your shit is not valid because I agree with you. But it just gives me it just gives me something to think about when I think about the frustration that people have with, and we were talking about this before we started recording, the frustration that people who are against Donald Trump,
Yeah.
people who on the left, people who see Donald Trump and his followers as racist, among all the other shit, right? And then to see people of color, when these lines have been drawn so sharply by Donald Trump himself, and to see people of color ride that train,
Mm-hmm.
and to see, you see it in the commentary on, on like progressive YouTube or, like in that world or whatever, and you see like people talking about like, look, these black Republicans said all this shit, but look, they didn't get all these cabinet positions.
Yeah.
They didn't get fucking, you know what I mean? Like, they just got fucking like, to see that or to see certain elements of like of the right are like, oh shit, like a popular YouTuber, fucking right wing, fucking, some people say grifter, fucking, there's a whole thing on that. You can go down those rabbit holes. Patrick Bet David has this thing, and recently he went off on, he was just like, fuck, there's a lot of like white nationalists. And it's like, yeah,
Really?
that's true. When they see those kind of people and it's like, how the fuck, right? But
Yeah.
we talked about Michael Douglas as, or Michael Douglas' character in this film, Defense, as a character who's acting out from a place of privilege. Whereas in these little everyday annoyances that can build up, right? That can make someone snap, right? Like you're in the fucking traffic and then all of a sudden like, fuck LA, fuck all this, fuck this, blah, blah, blah. We talked about, it's from a place of privilege that allows this person to say that a friend of ours years ago, we were talking about people who feel that the world is their oyster. But then he was like, yeah, or these people who are like, well, why isn't the world my oyster? That's even a deeper level of privilege where it's like, I know that I should fucking like, this is the Southern strategy basically, where it's like, well, you may not be rich, but at least you're white.
Yeah.
There's that. But for people who don't have that, who still want to be pissed off, it's like, well, at least let me cling to this fucking person who becomes the avatar of fucking my desire for revenge. This person becomes the symbol of whatever it means for me to fucking get mine, whatever it means to be, don't hate the player, hate the game. Whatever it means to be Tyler Durden, or, and this goes into like an American fucking kind of like outlaw mentality. Then the Luigi Mangione thing comes to mind too, because it's kind of like, that's like outlaw shit, like folk folkloric folk hero outlaw shit, Pretty Boy Floyd type of shit. Where and in the '90s we had, think about films like fucking Fight Club, where it's Tyler Durden. Like we talked about that with the masculinity. There's American Beauty, where it's like, and this goes back to like the midlife crisis thing, where it's like, well, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna fucking change, and I'm gonna be like so-called bad. I'm gonna embrace my fucking Mr. Hyde, fuck Dr. Jekyll, and shit's gonna work out for me because I've been playing by the rules for too fucking long. Even fucking something like Office Space.
Yeah.
Where you fucking go the other way and it's like, oh, all of a sudden you're fucking like, now you're advancing because you're fucking not playing by the rules anymore somehow. It's this real weird counterintuitive thing. Not giving a fuck somehow equals freedom. From the button down kind of world. And for people who already have the chips actually systemically stacked against them, if you see somebody, that's why fucking in rap, Donald Trump was always like one of these people that would get name dropped left and right. Because it's not because of how he felt about the fucking Central Park Five. It's because of fucking
the bling.
It was because of bling and because of like what he represented as this fucking like self-promoting fucking and now with this, he has this kind of outlaw image that people can like pin their tail on that fucking donkey, or on the elephant, that Republican elephant. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that goes into, I don't know that it goes into that scene, but I think when I see that scene, that's what I think about. Where it's like, and even now post like the loss of Kamala and all that shit, like where people are, they're like, well, something that we did, we being like the left, the Democrats, we did something wrong. So now somehow we have to get closer to that other side, either in terms of like bending the knee or we have to start engaging in those types of behaviors in order to win because we're on a losing track. And that's a lot. What I'm saying is all kinds of shit, but all of that, I can't not see that stuff when I think of that scene. Now, the second scene, the surplus store scene, you talk about the difference between someone who's so cartoonishly and outlandishly, outrageously racist, right?
And homophobic and misogynist, yeah.
All of it, yeah.
All the shit, yeah.
Yeah. What I agree with you on that too. But what I think is interesting is that repeatedly Frederick Forrest's character says, we're the same.
Yeah.
We're the same. And Michael Douglas is like, no, we're not. We're not the same. You're a sick fuck. And, that may be the case. But it's like, Michael Douglas is seeing he's seeing this dichotomy, whereas like I'm watching this shit and I see a fucking spectrum. You know what I mean? Like, like there's a pipeline. You know what I mean? Like you start off, you could start off being the guy screaming about not getting the loan, and somehow you can end up, and this is a slippery slope. I think it's an actual slippery slope, but you can say, well, you're exaggerating. It's a slippery slope argument, but I think it's real. You can end up listen to fucking podcasts, and you can go on YouTube, and you can end up listening to the lone fucking protest podcast. You'll end up at the Frederick Forrest podcast, at least just because it's going to send you to those fucking videos.
Yeah.
You may not buy into them, but you're going to see those videos. You can log into Twitter, and you're going to see fucking what Elon Musk gives you. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
I think they may not be the same, but it's very interesting that some people might say that. They might say, well, no, the fascists are actually on the left, or the fascists are actually on the Islamic fascism, or whatever, or postmodern fascism, whatever the fuck they want to, whoever wants to spin whatever with the word games. But in that fucking world of Frederick Forrest's fucking Pulp Fiction, fucking pawn shop, spiders caught some flies, bring out the gimp type of shit, mixed with fucking, I said American Beauty. Remember American Beauty, that the fucking neighbor ends up being a fucking Nazi with his plates?
Yeah, I remember.
Like,
and closeted homosexual, remember?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, in this scene, when Michael Douglas is like, we're not the fucking same, you're a sick fuck. Then this guy comes out with like, fucking, I'm gonna handcuff you and you're about to get raped and all this other shit.
Yeah, some buck and all that shit, yeah.
Yeah. Which brings in fucking, that Burt Reynolds movie.
Deliverance. I'm hitting all fucking, I'm getting my memory back. It's nice.
Yeah. I'm losing mine. Yeah, it brings in, and that's also a stereotype too. But at the same time, it's the way it's playing on him. So I would hope that one watching this movie would. I guess there's two ways you can take it. You can either say no, they're not the same, or you can say they may not be exactly the same, but what is it that fucking Frederick Forrest is seeing in Michael Douglas that he doesn't see in himself?
I think you're absolutely right in your interpretation in this discussion, both on the Vondi Curtis Hall scene and the Frederick Forrest scene. But I think you're bringing more intelligence to it than the filmmakers would have necessarily put in. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I think they're.
My ego will take that.
Yeah, I think they're putting. Your ego will take a lot of shit. I think they're playing a very obvious color game. Well, fucking 15 years of friendship. Let's not get into that. That's why I think that.
I'm a great guy. That's why you've been friends with me so long.
You are fucking wonderful. You are magic. The day you came into my life.
We're the same.
Yeah, we are. We're absolutely. I'm. You know what? It's weird that for 30 years this movie has sat with me. And that's fucking crazy. 30 years, nothing old. Everything old is new. Everything new is old.
Yeah.
This shit has not changed. The narrative hasn't changed. It's just manifested itself to a degree now that the Proud Boys are marching, and even that was fucking 8 years ago. We're looking at something complete. We're looking at the disintegration of America and whatever ideals that it once had. And a lot of that is represented in this film. I think this is a very telling film. I think it's a very well-acted film. I'm not so sure about Joel Schumacher as a filmmaker because he's always been all over the place in so much of what he's done. This guy did Flatliners. He did 8mm. He did the last two Batman films after Tim Burton, but before Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's a weird filmmaker. He's a popular filmmaker, you know?
Yeah. Lost Boys, you've got fucking St. Elmo's Fire, fucking Time to Kill.
Mm-hmm. I think if he had stuck to making more pop culture films, he would be better respected. I think going into these darker territories, he didn't have the darkness necessary to really sell it. I think this could be a better film from a grittier director, but it's a testament to how good the acting and the basic story is, that it's as good as it's like you said earlier. This is a much better film than it deserves to be. I'm not exactly sure those are not the exact words to use, but that was the basic sentiment, I think.
Basically what I said, yeah. I mean, there's there's that. The third thing that I was getting at is the he ends up killing that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Then he wanders. He changes clothes, and he at one point he goes to the golf course. It's fucking
No, but now there's a certain period there. No, he goes to that construction area.
okay, because that's the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, the construction. He pulls out a fucking bazooka
That he stole from
that he
Frederick
stole from the fucking Army surplus store,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a black kid who teaches him how to use it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but it's not like the kid isn't thuggish or whatever. But what's interesting to me about it is that it's a black kid.
Yeah.
Second, it's also interesting that we asked him, he's like, "How did you learn how to use it?"
Yes,
and he's
that's
like,
the
"I
thing.
saw it on TV."
Mm-hmm. Saw it in movies. And the kid is so like, it's interesting that the kid is so naive. He's so worldly, but so naive at the same time, as he thinks they're making a movie right there. Where are the cameras?
Because everything's a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking like, this is fucking simulacrum shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is like the virtual, you know what I mean? Like, the virtual and the real. This is like, that's it. And yeah, everything is a fucking movie. And as soon as Michael Douglas accidentally fucking shoots it into a hole underground and it goes through and blows up something in the distance, the kid's like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, look, on a basic level, like, I don't know, but all of us listening, but like many of us listening were an adolescent and something explodes and you go, cool.
Yeah.
Especially a young adolescent male. Like, that's
the kind of shit. That's how we're hardwired. I'll say that we're hardwired to watch shit blow up and be excited by it.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, I came, cool, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's that, but that was the kind of the third scene that like made me think about like contemporary shit, and that it's like the role of podcasting, the role of fucking like all this shit in the current political nightmare that we're in. And it's kind of like, I don't care about his fucking policies. Like, he's just fucking, like, there's just something about cool about fucking, some asshole out there fucking doing whatever the fuck he wants. Like,
how did you say it? How did you say it? Just tough talk? How did you say it? Before we recorded?
Before we recorded?
Yeah.
About Donald Trump?
Well, who else could we be talking about? You were saying he's like brave enough to say what he means and tough enough to say what he means and all that shit, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perspective.
Not shit that you said, but you know what I'm talking about. People that you've reported on other people.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is how they see it. They see it like, oh, someone who's fucking gonna tell it how it is, and like blah blah.
Who's willing to stand up. But think about it. You know what? I look at Donald Trump and I look at all these guys like that. Like, there was a movie where Alec Baldwin is playing a tough guy and he's slapping this guy around. But it's real interesting because he doesn't just slap the guy around. He has some other guys, bigger guys, holding him so that he could smack the shit out of him. And that's what I've always thought about the tough guy bullshit. And I said that about Donald Trump. I don't think he's ever hit anybody that wasn't being held down, except for maybe a woman. And, you know, I mean, I think, you know, Ivana can attest to that if, you know, it hadn't ended so badly for her.
Golf course?
Supposedly, yeah.
Or buried in.
Buried in, yeah.
But, I mean, like, this is why fucking, like, the vibe thing sells. This is why people like Andrew Tate can have a fucking, this is why we're mentioning Andrew fucking Tate, you know what I mean? Because...
And not having to go into a description.
Right.
You know? Yeah. It's important.
Yeah, I mean, I can say Richard Nixon, and people are going to say, obviously not our listeners, and also our listeners are of a certain age, but like, we were talking about Nixon the other day,
Yeah.
or no, earlier.
Today.
Earlier today, and you could say Richard Nixon, and people would like of a certain age. People are going to say, "Wait, who?"
Well, not only did we say Richard Nixon, we said Harry Truman in reference to Richard
fuck.
Nixon. So it's like that's a double fucking who.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a double fucking who for sure. Michael Douglas is a fucking who. You know what I mean? Like,
at this point, yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's kind of like, and it goes beyond just like relevance.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So Michael Douglas is on this fucking journey. He cuts through a golf course where he gives an old white guy a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And so his idealism. Oh, there should be kids playing here, and there should be this and that, and he has this kind of like this fucked up view of reality where it's like there's a paradise, but it's a paradise that exists only in his fucking mind that should be. But of course, he's going to create this paradise at the end of a barrel of a gun. And it's all revenge. It's all fucking like, it's all his victimhood. And then, for all intents and purposes, fucking kidnaps his family. When he grabs the girls, there's the groundskeeper of some estate is fucking of the property of some plastic surgeon is fucking having a barbecue without permission, and fucking like Michael Douglas's character wanders on, and the guy's like, "No, don't tell whatever security," and he's like, "Aren't you from them or from there or whatever?" And he's like, "No." Then the cops are closing in, and he's grabbing the kid, and wait, you think I'm gonna fucking hurt your kid? You think I'm gonna fucking blah blah?
Yeah.
And he's basically on his way to go kill his wife and kid before he kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he gets to the climactic scene with Robert Duvall, because Robert Duvall's been tracking him. And notice, interestingly, the closer that Robert Duvall gets to finding him, the more self-assured Robert Duvall's character gets. Because some of that little rebellious magic,
mm-hmm.
the little good old American rebellion, has fucking rubbed off on fucking
Pendergrast?
do-good fucking Robert Duvall, who never cusses, never does anything, but now all of a sudden, and that's, how to know when a man is free, he can tell his wife to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, shut up.
And leave the leave the skin on the chicken.
Yeah, leave the skin on the chicken. I want to be free to fucking have heart disease or whatever the fuck, right? Like, whatever that means, why you're doing that. I mean, obviously, like, tastes better, blah blah. But yeah, all that shit. Like, the only things that we're missing between this kind of like more intense move towards masculinity is like, Robert Duvall grabs his fucking ex-partner and fucking just kisses her. After he punches the fucking punches that other
cop,
young Republican-looking cop, punches him. He grabs the girl, kisses her, and he doesn't even really like her. He just fucking like, he doesn't want to be with her, and he just gives her a fucking kiss and just walks off, right?
Yeah.
He should have commandeered a motorcycle and gone after him on a motorcycle. Fucking Michael Douglas should have robbed a bank. That would have taken him into the next realm of get money, fuck bitches, American outlawhood. And then he can go have his fucking final showdown with Robert Duvall on the pier. But the film plays out the way it plays out, the way it's gonna play out. It's fucking suicide by cop. It's fucking, from the 80s, this going postal kind of thing where the guy is, the guy's not treated right. fucking snaps, and now everybody has to pay for it. And Robert Duvall's character says, like, what, you think you're fucking special because, like, all this shit happened to you?
Yeah. You think that allows you to behave the way you've been behaving? I don't know. That's having your cake and eating it too, though, because a lot of the audience is on board. I mean, I think a lot of, I think if you show this to the right or the wrong group of people, you're going to have a lot of them saying, I get this guy, and I agree with everything that he does. Everything he fucking does. Yeah.
That's he's at that same fucking table as fucking Travis Bickle and Howard Beale from Network.
Yeah.
Because did you even notice in the scenes, there are certain scenes where this music, this beat kicks in where he's fucking walking and it makes him seem like a badass?
Yeah.
He takes the fucking the duffel bag full of guns and walks off, and everyone moves out of his way. He just walks off like a fucking badass. And it's I don't know if it's made. I don't know if well, first of all, I don't believe because I don't have a very high opinion of audiences.
Of who?
Oh, no, audiences.
Okay.
And of American audiences. I don't know that people are seeing that as ironic and catching like, oh shit, like this is meant to make me question whether I like this character or not, because with the music I feel like because I felt like I was like, oh shit, like this reads as cool right now. And I don't know if in the making of the film they're just like, oh, this is the kind of moment when that happens in cinema, so this is what we're gonna do. Or if, and I don't know Schumacher's, and I don't even know, like, there's like since he is so all over the place, I don't know if there's like a through line through his shit where I'm like, oh, there's always this underlying irony in everything that he did. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I know his shit that well enough.
I think he's generic enough a filmmaker as to not have a signature style. He's not Scorsese. He's not, and I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about, you watch a Spielberg, you know you're watching Spielberg. You watch Kubrick, you know you're watching Kubrick. There's a style, whether it be the way the camera is utilized or the thematic nature of the stories being told. Schumacher doesn't have that, or at least I don't see it in the films that I've seen him. The films of his that I've seen. He was just a generic filmmaker. All I know is that there was he's just I think he came out of the Corman School, and I might be wrong on that, but he was in the business for a long time. He was a reliable, dependable director, not somebody who you say, oh, I can't wait to see the new Schumacher film, or oh, they're giving Batman over to Schumacher, that's going to be interesting. It was never like that.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, like, Lost Boys is like fun pop cultural vampire teenage comedy shit.
Flatliners was a favorite of yours.
I thought was a great cast. And for that kind of like that version, like that darker version of fucking like that group of people, and kind of like the younger half of that St. Elmo's Fire kind of group. So I thought that was interesting.
But then you have, but you also have like 8mm, which could have been a great film.
Right.
Had a great cast. Had atmosphere. Had a screenplay from Andrew Kevin Walker, who had just come off of Seven. That could have been a great film. Yeah. And it misses the mark. There are certain elements. It's all there, but it just doesn't come together.
Yeah, the subject matter, the fucking like, it could have really gone somewhere.
Yeah. Could have been a really
Um,
powerful film, and it dropped the ball. This is
yeah.
like that to
Well,
a degree, but it's saved by the performances. I really think this is a film that is made up of great performances in a B movie setting. You know,
this you said you wanted to talk about the aspect of like overeducated, underskilled, not economically viable. Um, did you say everything you wanted to say about that?
pretty much. I mean, I find that to be the thing that I'm that I relate to the most, but it's something that I relate and you're gonna I'm gonna sound egotistical as all fuck, but that's always been the case. Where I've always felt like I was overeducated for whatever job I was in. But then again, I chose those jobs. I mean, I'm a meat cutter, I'm a meat wrapper, garbage thrower. It's not. I don't bring any of a Northwestern education to that, but I didn't bring it to um, working at a boys' home. I didn't bring it to parking cars in downtown LA. It was all in service of something else. So, I mean, I don't know if you feel that way. You're definitely an educated man who is not working at least to I don't want to say maybe to the potential, but
Sure.
at
I
least
mean,
in the
like
field, yeah.
there's a lot of I think about the people of my generation that I know,
Yeah.
and very few of them are. I think very few of them, number one, are actually doing what they studied.
Yeah.
Um, few of them are like really. I think most of them are smarter and more talented than the world that they're working in.
Yeah.
I don't mean like in terms of like the than most people in that world. I mean they're more talented and more intelligent than they're too smart to be doing that
Hmm.
because they could be applying those things to other shit.
Yeah.
Um, um, also things that something that they would like actually be more into. Like in those worlds, there are people that are intelligent, purposeful, who belong there because that's their shit. But the people I'm thinking about don't belong to these worlds. They're just in them.
Yeah.
Um, and then interestingly, like um, most of the ones um, that of the few that I know that I like talk to about this type of shit that they actually are doing. One person in particular, a good friend of mine, is no longer in that world. That he was good money, but just wasn't into it. Wasn't happy. Wasn't. So it's just kind of like in general. I think the concept of um, everyone doing what they love, getting paid for it, being able to fucking make a living off of doing what they love. That's just not that's
A
that's not
reality.
like the reality.
Well, that's the thing, though.
Especially for most people.
We
It's
we are doing the thing that we love. We're just not getting paid for it.
yeah,
We're working
right.
shit jobs in order to pay for the thing that we love.
Yeah, I mean,
Who
and
knows?
that
Yeah.
and at this point, it's like, look, like we're just trying to get paid to fucking live in this society.
Yeah.
Um, that's where that's at. And that's where it's at for the majority of for the 99%.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So there is something that rings true, um, whether it's if someone's like, oh, I'm fucking overeducated, and that includes fucking student loans and all this other bullshit, like, and those things,
Yeah.
or if it's like, well, I'm undereducated because I fucking like because of where I was born and who I was born, like who I was born to, and like just the the geography of it, the
Yeah.
fucking fate of it, all of that. So it's like, regardless of that, it's kind of like that part is going to resonate where it's like, what happened? I did everything they told me to do, whether it's like going to school and getting the grades, or if it's just fucking, hey, I fucking worked. I've been working since I'm 14. I've been doing this. I'm an honest person. I did this. I did that. Look at where it fucking got me. Or if it's like, I went into the military. I served my fucking country. I fucking did this. Now I'm fucking homeless. Or now I'm fucking with PTSD. Or now I'm fucking, my legs have been blown off. Or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
That part is like, pretty universal. And then you add on top of that the human condition part, where it's just kind of like, well, there's just something that isn't right to begin with. Like, whether I'm rich or whether I'm poor, whether I'm obviously, like, you get a certain amount of money and a lot of your problems will fucking like be alleviated. And then you make a certain amount of money after that, and it's not going to add any more happiness. That there are studies that show that that's a thing. But there is a general sense in terms of the human condition that fucking something's off, and that just comes with just being alive. Um, that's like the Buddhist thing. Um, but people are gonna watch this movie, and yes, I'm going back to the walking to that beat with the fucking thing full of guns off into the distance like a badass. Some people are gonna say like, not only are they gonna feel like, yeah, I feel that, I feel the fucking, I did everything that they told me to, and look what it got me. Um, that's that's just the part where it's like seeing managers who are so-called, like, you think they're fucking stupid, and they're like, they promote all the stupid people. That kind of idea. That's just that part. But what about the people that are like, this guy gets it. This guy fucking fuck, and look what they did to him.
Yeah.
All these fucking criminals, all these people, all these fucking uh, immigrants, all these fucking thugs. But this guy is just trying to fucking get back home. He's just trying to fucking like do his shit, and he gets fucking killed. Fuck this. This just shows how fucked up this shit is. And the only way to do it is to bring it all down and fucking rebuild it from scratch. I am defense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's fucked up. And how many people feel like that? What's the percentage? I mean, and this is obviously rhetorical, but it's like if you fucking put AI of fucking Donald Trump, obviously that's not going to necessarily work, because it's kind of like, well, Donald Trump's rich, right?
Yeah.
Donald Trump is not, but he plays that character. He plays defense. He plays offense and defense. But and if you can make yourself into, if you can walk that fine line between I'm better than you, but I'm the victim, um, then you'll do some shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You'll justify some fucked up shit. So I see this movie and I'm just like, well, America is falling down. I mean, it's been falling down, but for since the inception. But yeah, I think about this is January 2025, and these times, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And like you say, this is not something. I mean, in the '90s there were versions of that. You know what I mean? Like Pete Wilson, the fucking I believe he was, if not that year, it was in those times where it was like where he was the governor of California, and he was like cracking down on immigration and uh, Prop 187 and all this fucked up shit, and it's just it's it's heavy duty shit, and a lot of it is like there are echoes of, there are 1965 echo, the 60s echoing the 90s somehow in some weird way, echoing now like in some weird way. It's like you can connect all these dots. However creative you want to be, you can connect dots. And shit changes, but shit stays the fucking same. And sometimes in staying the same, it gets worse. It's like this shit is a documentary.
At this point, yeah.
It's fucked up. A fucking documentary falling down. You know what I mean? Like, it's very fucked up. And in the world where Howard Beale becomes a fucking hero and everyone celebrates as he loses his fucking mind and has a breakdown and then ultimately he's sacrificed on the altar of ratings, and Travis Bickle becomes a hero. In the film, the defense character does not become a hero. But in the real world, like also a lot of these guys, obviously they don't become heroes, but they become on the internet. Sometimes they become heroes.
No, not necessarily. I mean, this guy becomes George Zimmerman.
This guy becomes president.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is real. The thing that I can stress, it's a good movie. Number one, it's a flawed movie, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
But you watch it, and you watch it not. This is a movie that you don't simply watch for entertainment value. It has entertainment value, but you watch this with the understanding that it's been 33 years. And you have to ask yourself, if you are at least conscious of the world that you live in, you have to ask yourself, how much has changed? And that's a scary, scary question, because you're not, if you're honest, you're going to realize that it hasn't changed. Not significantly, not for the better. And like you say, staying the same is ultimately getting worse. Falling Down, 1992. Is there anything that you'd like to leave the fine people with, Mr. Chavez?
This episode is dedicated to Stephen Palmer, a member. Buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos. Buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos. You don't have to fucking pay for our Botox. Like, small dollar donations. That's what it's about. $5 here, $5 there. Some people are doing $5 a month, but it's coming out to like $50 a year instead of $60. Every bit helps. We've done everything that we were supposed to do, and look where the fuck we are. So, help the revolution. Buy us a coffee and stay tuned, because we have some shit coming up.
That's
and
right, goddamn.
R.I.P. David Lynch.
R.I.P. David Lynch. The revolution is being broadcast, people. Thank you very much.